Let's bring in Tim Hagle, who is standing by, U.S. political analyst. He is coming to us from Iowa. What do you make of that, Tim? I mean, that is just astonishing once again. I meant to say wouldn't. Instead, I said would. I misspoke. I didn't understand what the big deal was. So now I just want to come out here and clarify things for you. Your take.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you're right in terms of characterizing this as damage control that we've seen in the past where Trump, when he says something that outrages a lot of people, sometimes even Republicans, he'll double down. But occasionally, one of those rare occasions, and this is one of them, where he basically realizes that, well, I've got to clean this up in some particular way, damage control. And I can't recall anybody focusing on that particular sentence or that word, but that sentence did seem to suggest that he was perhaps siding or leaning towards believing Putin more than the intelligence community. And that's the thing that in particular caused the outrage among a lot of Republicans. You can kind of expect it from the Democrats, but from the Republicans as well. That one word change makes a big difference, but I suspect that there's still going to be some criticism that he didn't do more when he was on that world stage as opposed to doing it at a meeting a day later.
Something else that surprised me, and there was a lot in that news conference that Trump hosted, but he said, I have several times said that I think Russia interfered in the presidential election. Is that true? I don't recall ever hearing that from Trump. In fact, just the opposite.
It doesn't get emphasized. The problem is that every time somebody talks about Russian meddling, Trump immediately thinks about the collusion aspect, and he denies that. And so he downplays the Russian meddling aspect. Plus, even with respect to Russian meddling, he also thinks that it's a way to delegitimize his presidency, that somehow it was the Russians that caused his victory rather than himself. And he always goes off on those other topics. And so the clarity of recognizing that, yes, the Russians did attempt to meddle in the election isn't always there because we go off on these other topics.
All right. What about the fact that he is now saying that he has full faith and he supports the conclusions of U.S. intelligence agencies, more than a dozen of them, that Russia meddled in the election? What is that going to mean?
Well, I think it means that it will give a little bit more confidence to the intelligence community and what their work that they're doing, plus also the House and their investigation. And, we'll have to see what happens with Mueller and his investigation. But it does seem to suggest that he's recognizing, yes, the intelligence community is doing a good job, and yes, that he believes that, in fact, Russia meddled in the election. Now, the question is as to what extent they did so, what can happen from that, and can he get anything along the lines of Putin to stop doing that? My guess is probably not entirely, but we'll have to see what happens in the 2018 and potentially 2020 elections.
We talked about this being a major effort by the White House at damage control. Get the president out there, add this media availability to his schedule, say that he misspoke, try and clarify the whole situation because of this torrent of criticism by both Republicans and Democrats and others. Tim, your read on whether this is going to be enough?
It probably will be enough for some people. It won't be for Democrats. They'll still be unhappy. There'll still be some Republicans that are unhappy, like I said, because Trump is sort of doing this a little bit late, too little, too late kind of a thing. But I think for a lot of Republicans, it will say, okay, you made a mistake. You tried to clean it up. Didn't actually apologize, but did say, yes, there's a misunderstanding here, I misspoke. And so that's about as close as Trump often gets to an apology. So we'll see. And plus, as we often see, there's probably going to be something else that'll gather headlines in the coming days, and this will probably be forgotten before too long.
Tim Hagle joining us from Iowa City. Thanks for this, Tim. Good to talk to you today.
Welcome.